Southern California, where you can actually go out on auditions, then it's not so tough. If you live in a place that doesn't have a market for that, then you have to do a lot of things, submission. I tell people that, like, when we started with him, we lived in an area where you could do that, and so it was easier. People constantly ask about doing it from small towns around the U.S., and I just tell them that you have to. What you need to do is find a local media, which is like local advertising, commercials, radio local, and just put a demo together and take it to them. And here in California, you really have to do the same thing, but your best bet is to find an agent that wants to represent you. And the way you should do that is, I would not. Most people think that when they want to do voiceover, they want to put a bunch of weird character voices or copy somebody else. And that's really not how to get started. You need to just do your own voice, be you, and they're always looking for a unique voice, something that's just, it's got character, it's got, and take risks. Get some copy, even take just a newspaper and read some advertisement and get, and record it. Get better. The thing is, before you go and meet an agent, there's a lot of voiceover agents, some in San Diego, they're in Orange County, and they're in the LA area. But I would encourage you, if you're looking to do that, make sure that when you go in the first time, you're ready. Because you only have one opportunity to get in front of somebody and impress them. And if you don't, then you miss that. So, but there's it's always a process. Like Jeremy and his brothers auditioned for a voiceover agent when he first started, and she turned him down. Said she wasn't interested. And so I'm not somebody that gives up very easily, and you shouldn't either. If you have an interest in it and you have a desire to do it, go for it. Don't let somebody else tell you you can't do it. Just get out there and make it happen. So what I did is I started contacting people that I knew that worked in the media directly, and said, hey, you know what, I want to listen to them. And it was not through an agent, but just directly to the media. And they started booking work. And so a year later, the agent didn't realize that they had been turned down by this specific voiceover agent. Said, hey, I'd like to have the boys go meet a voiceover agent. And I said, okay. So they went back and met the same exact agent a year later that turned them down. And she didn't remember it. But now they'd already had people that had booked them. And so when they walked in, she's like, oh my gosh, I've heard about you guys, all three of the boys. And she said, I really want to sign you. So she ended up signing them. And actually on the way home, his brother, she calls us and said, hey, can you stop over at Disney on your way home? We hadn't even done anything official. And he booked a big campaign for Disney Studios on the way home. And she freaked out, and then I didn't bother to tell her till the Christmas party about 3 months later. I said, hey, you know what? You actually turned them down a year ago. And she was kind of embarrassed, but, and I said, she was worried that I was going to, I guess, that I was upset with her. And I said, no, actually, by turning them down, you encouraged us to be better. So when somebody, if you get criticism, take it as a constructive thing, and use that to improve what you're doing. Because I can tell you, there's a lot of actors. Jack Nicholson, he auditioned for an agent over 40 times and was turned down. Over 40 times.
Not that any of the little ones in here know who that is.
No, but there's a lot of other people in there that do know who that is. And so, if you're going to do it, be the very best you can and go out there. And you guys do live in a market where there's actually agents that you can have that'll send you out.
Kid hat in the back. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, Real Finn? Can you say in your Finn voice, as loud as you can, the Hulk?
Say the Hulk with my Finn voice.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I've never gotten that request before. But I will do it. The Hulk!
Oh my gosh.
The songs that they put in Adventure Time, they always sound like spontaneous, like they think of something and start singing. Is it that way, or do they let you rehearse first?
Oh no, it's all written out, but they kind of give us notes and they tell us to make it sound not very polished, if that makes sense, to make it sound like it is more real and kind of on the spot, which is why a lot of times my thin singing voice will sound a lot different than my singing voice in real life.
And he's a really, really good singer.
It's dumb.
It's totally. One of his biggest things about that is that he has to go in there and intentionally sound bad because they want Finn to sound like an average guy that doesn't, you know, he's just a kid.
They want to be very raw and emotional when he's singing.
So, you know, that's not how he really sounds. He does a pretty mean Michael Bublé, actually. Over here in the corner.
So how old were you when this cartoon began and started this character?
Adventure Time, I was 12, I think. Yeah, I was 12. We've been doing it for about 4 years now, right?
So did you have a voice change in there that they were concerned about?
Yeah, a lot of people probably noticed the whole first season, my voice changing almost.
The very first season.
But ever since then, I mean, season 2 on, we're in season 5 or 6 or something like that.
And we get a lot of questions about that. He gets constantly about his brother doing, you guys know how many that he did the pilot, your brother Zach. Okay, Zach, his brother, did the pilot that was originally ordered up from Nickelodeon.
And then 3 years later, it came back around, and Cartoon Network picked it up, and they didn't even think to go with Zach, who's the original. They didn't even think of that, doing that. So I auditioned. I sounded like just like him, and basically took the job. I've been doing it ever since. But yeah, my voice changed like in the first season, but it turned into a character voice, and I'm still able to do it today.
Yeah. People kept asking at the first Comic-Con, are they going to replace you if your voice changes?
Well, one guy was like, do you have another little brother who can replace you? No, I do not.
His sister wouldn't sound much like that.
Nah.
Anyway, so that's kind of what, but it changed the first season, so that's not an issue. And they actually made it clear that at that con, that they were not intending on doing like, a lot of the animated shows, they have a boy. They want him to sound the same age. That's not this show is a character arc, and they are intending him to grow up. And there was an article in Variety recently that compared it to Harry Potter, which is funny, because you watched Harry Potter grow up on a live-action movie, and you saw the relationships and all the things that changed in him, and they wanted this show to be like that. So you'll watch Finn grow up. And you'll see his life change as he grows up. There's some very dramatic stuff going to happen this season and next season that will shock you.
Captain America.
Let's see. Almost forgot my question.
Come on,
Think
Kat.
about Matthew
Keep freezing really slowly down. Well, we can come back to it. Anybody else? Max, go ahead.
Are there anyone at the Cartoon Network studio that you don't really get along with?
I love the people that ask questions to like stir up trouble, like who hates each other. No, they're pretty laid back people for the most part, so I wouldn't say this is like coming along with it.
They're crazy to get along. You guys, that whole cast are like just buds, man. I think it was hard for John at first because he was an adult and he has this little kid. And actually,
I'm the only person that's a kid on the show. Actually, everybody else is adults.
but not when this one you guys started though, Marceline.
She's already like 7
Yeah. But I mean, we travel a lot with them right now. We just got back to Atlanta. And, we're going to Detroit and New York and the next few weeks, and they all get along brilliantly. It's funny. They're all buds.
Let me ask you about work and school schedule.
How do we meet work?
Oh, yeah.
Work at school. Go ahead. Work at school.
Yeah.
I actually graduated earlier this year, which was awesome.
At 16.
When you were 12.
When I was 12, I've always been homeschooled, and I would never have to. I would always record Adventure Time on afternoons, so I'd already been done with school for that in the morning before I went. So it never really affected that at all, actually.
And when he started live action too, you guys, the voiceover thing is just part. He mainly his main focus is live action. And he gets set for long periods of time, you know, with a teacher. So you have a studio teacher that works with them. So he,
Almost like having a friend.
yeah. There was a question in the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you make of the term musical voice?
His voice is musical.
Musical voice?
Yeah, I took a voice acting class earlier this year, and the teacher told me I had a musical voice.
Oh, well, do you?
Yeah, sometimes I like, shift my voice around, just make it sound like as calm as this or as dramatic as this.
Well, maybe she's thinking like musical theater style, where you when you answer somebody, you do it dramatically.
Sometimes I like to go
Yeah.
dramatically just for the heck of it.
Yeah, she's probably thinking of kind of a Broadway personality voice. Yeah.
Thanks for the
My question.
Go ahead.
When Adventure Time first came out, and the Cartoon Network was showing the commercials, were you the actual kid who was running around screaming, "What time is it? What time is it?"
No. A lot of people, I guess, thought that kid did the voice of that stuff.
That kid was from Atlanta. Actually, no, well, the thing is, Turner, that owns Cartoon Network, the headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, and they hired some local talent to do that, so that was...
Yeah, I just say I've never worn the Fin costume once in my life.
He's never worn the Fin hat.
What? Yeah, you did. I can barely see. I got you.
Yeah, too.
Okay, in the show Adventure Time, I've been noticing they're clearly starting to hint that something's going to happen to Finn's arm, because when Finn sees himself growing up, he has a robotic arm, and his past life self had a robotic arm as well. Do you know anything on this? Can we get any spoilers or any just like
We have some very smart fans, dude.
It's freaking me out. Don't want to lose an arm.
Dang it. Well, there goes that reveal.
We aren't at liberty, or he isn't, to say anything about that, but you are very smart.
I think that a lot of things could happen, and probably, maybe, will happen at some point in the future.
Yep, good question.
So tell me a day in the studio, like walking in.
We usually, I walk in, we get settled, we chill for a little bit, we start recording. We do we do an entire episode in about 2 or 3 hours, front to back, just record the whole thing. Usually we have almost the whole cast there, unless somebody's schedule doesn't work. But we usually have the whole cast, which is great because most shows don't, which is really, really awesome. It's fun to play off of everybody. And then we're out of there in 2 or 3 hours. We only record, I want to say, once a week.
You used to take them the entire time. It was like 2 to 6, 4 hours recording. But they are such pros now, and they work off each other so well that they're in there and they're out.
You really get to that point where you know the characters, you know exactly how they would say the lines.
Everybody's just synced up.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Question right here.
Martini's voice is also Vanessa's voice on Phineas and Ferb. Does that ever get in the way of the show? Or
Oh, no.
Not at all.
Since it's Disney Channel and Cartoon.
No, the one thing about that's
It's different for voiceover. Usually, I mean,
yeah.
voiceover people work on almost every single network, like John DiMaggio, Tom Kenny. They're working at Disney, Nick, and Cartoon Network.
Which is that's a unique thing, because he booked Incredible Crew that you were talking about, and that was a live action show. He was on a contract that he could not work for Disney and Nick during that time. It's called non-competing. Anyway, she works for both, and actually the guy that plays Marston, her dad, is a writer on Phineas and Ferb.
Is he one of the creators?
He is, and he just finished a book for Adventure Time called Adventure Time Encyclopedia. Have you guys seen that?
Her dad
Yeah,
also
her dad
plays
wrote
her
that.
dad in Adventure Time. He plays Hudson Avenue, the Lord of Evil.
He's crazy talented too. But yeah, and so
I already did. I'm just kidding. How are you guys doing
Focus is live action acting, and you started that when you were like 5. What was your training, or are you taking acting classes? Do you do theater? Did you ever do theater?
I've never done theater. I did, when I was younger, I did acting classes and stuff. But I've really just kind of learned by experience and I've been doing it. It's just something you really just kind of get over time and just learn from doing. Yeah, a lot of people get their start in theater and stuff. I've never done theater. I started so young that I didn't really have a chance to kind of do theater even before I started acting.
You know, with little kids though, they honestly don't. I mean, because when we first started this, we intentionally did not have him coach much. And I'll tell you why. Little kids are pretty natural on their own. Yeah. And they're some of the best actors I've ever seen because they just are being something. And then what happens is they become older, they become too self-aware, and that's when they really stink as actors. So you don't, the best thing to do.
A lot of people won't even actually watch themselves in things they do because they don't want to become self-conscious.
That's right, and then they have issues. And the little kids, they just kind of, either they are capable or not, and if they're not, you shouldn't push them to do it, because if they don't have a desire to do that, don't make them do it. You'll have a problem from then on. We did not encourage them. We were not family that, we didn't move into California and go, we want our kids to be actors. Honestly, that was not.
Quite the opposite. When I was going to do acting, my dad's like, ah, crap.
And here we are 12 years later, and this is not the road we intended to take, but they enjoyed it. This is what they want to do, so we support them, but it was not us sticking a square peg in a round hole. Back here in the hat on?
Yeah, so my son Miles was wondering if you could do a couple of lines as Finn.
Of course I can. The main one that everybody loves. What time is it? I feel like that could be better if we do it again. What time is it? There we go. That was more fun.
How many? Oh, Max, go ahead.
Do you think this convention is better than Comic Con?
Yes.
Dude, you are always trying to strike us. You're like, who do you not like in the show? What convention is better?
Every one of these is so different, you guys. That's what makes it unique. I mean, it's not better. It's just different. Yes. You know, some things are smaller and they're more intimate, and some things are really huge. Like we'll be in New York next week, and there'll be probably 60,000 to 70,000 people. And the room that they'll be speaking in will probably have 2,000 to 3,000 people.
So we're fortunate here?
What's that?
We're fortunate?
Yeah, you guys are getting, this is more like being in a small concert. You know, I mean, I've seen bands like Journey, and when we were at a 20,000, 27,000 people arena, and I got to see those artists play for 400, and it's just really cool. It's different, you know, and they like them both just as much because it's just different. It's nice. How many of you guys like to see running errands? Want to see some live action?
Is that your actual mom?
No.
She's a very funny actress. She's been around in LA. She's great. A little background on this particular video, they did it for the pilot, and this was played at the F-Fronts, called the F-Fronts in New York. And this sold the show. This is what everyone went, oh my gosh, this is.
Like I was going to go to my house, sleepy evenings, my coffee girl. Why? I can do it. What do you do? What
Where we going first, Mom? We're stopping by the bank. Transaction was sweet. Mom, before you go, don't forget your receipt. Open up the skylight. Next stop is the salon. Haircuts, no, just highlights. Parks the car. She's mad, conscientious, and stay from Lady Magazine. Spit an ill verse. Yo, you mad trippin' Linda? Your show's don't match your cars. Pick up little sis, cause she's finished with ballet.
Little sisters in the house, time to get amazed. My house got rhymes for minutes, but I got rhymes for days. Big brothers talking crap, but you know what?
And Justin Bieber.
Well, I'd say that's a pretty good comment. Oh no, like a backstory, like
Yeah.
an actual reason for everything?
Yeah.
You're gonna see more.
I'm sure there is. I don't know what that is yet.
They're releasing more and more kind of on the history of it as it goes along. You'll see more this year.
Yeah, we'll see some backstory.
Back in the back.
Hi, I was wondering, do you think there's going to be a kind of movie at all?
Ooh.
That would be really, really cool. I don't know.
They've talked about it, you guys. We'll see. I mean, the problem is Penn is so busy writing for the show that taking the amount of time they were talking about it, but you have to pull an entire team off of that to do it, and it does take. They're working a lot of hours. Those guys put in some crazy, crazy hours. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. Just don't know when that'll be. Back here.
Can you please do Vin's high-pitched scream voice?
He may have a little trouble, you guys. He's got a cold right now, and that.
I will try my darndest. Now my voice will be gone for the rest of the
voice.
Here,
buddy. Go ahead.
Can you get a new Adventure Time game on your phone or computer?
I think that there's two. I think one of them will be on your phone, and I think the other one will be on Xbox, Wii, and PlayStation.
Lots of stuff coming up. Okay, more questions? We're going to wrap it up here pretty quick.
Same game or two completely different?
Right here.
The platform is the same game, and the mobile phone is the same game. It's a different game.
Let's go right here. Go ahead.
Yeah, it might be different for you since you started younger and do more character voices, but are you one of those people who hates the sound of your own voice on a recording?
I used to, honestly, I used to really not. I couldn't deal with it, but over time, I guess you kind of get used to it. It doesn't annoy me anymore, especially considering it's not completely my real voice. Yeah. I get a kick out of it.
Front row, right here.
Oh my gosh, that was so awkward. For those of you who don't know, I had to do a hidden camera thing where I had to have this big body cast with basically both my arms broken, and they had me go in and just do random stuff in this restaurant. And they had to go to this lady in her next door and basically ask her to feed me food because I couldn't. Broken arms. She ended up feeding me, and oh my gosh. That's private. I'll do something though. It's not worth it to find me, but my actions.
There you go, man.
I like when Batman just yells at people just saying like,
oh yeah. Whoa!
Dude, it's okay.
Stand it back here. Go ahead.
Do you ever read your own fan fiction, or do you ever watch YouTube videos about it?
I see that face just made. Usually fan fiction is not really fan fiction. It's just taking things and taking them to darker places.
They aren't necessarily family friendly.
But like 5% of fan fiction is actually fan fiction. It's just kind of cool stuff. I'll look at some of that. And actually, some of the stuff on the show is taken from that type of fan fiction. Like the whole gender swap stuff, if you have any kid, that's all taken from fan fiction. So that stuff I think is cool. The other stuff, really.
If you have ideas, you definitely should get. You can get a hold of like Pendleton on the web or on Cartoon. They do listen to that stuff. The writers, they find it fascinating. Right here with the red shirt on. Yep.
You know that episode where like Finn has a dream and he has to eat a worm?
Yeah.
Is that really based off of YouTube clips?
I don't know about that one. That's good.
I have no
Also,
clue.
do you know Natasha
Who is that?
Oh, she's the one who made it. She made Fiona and Cake.
Oh yeah, you know what? Sorry, you guys. We get so much information a lot coming at him and stuff. It's hard to remember. Like he'll ask him, hey, remember that episode you did in season 1?
Remember that thing with the guy and the things like this and things
Yeah, it's really tough.
We've done like over 100 episodes by now. So like,
Last question.
What's the most awkward thing you've ever said on Adventure?
a lot of awkward things. Oh my gosh, there was one in particular. Actually, there was one that got cut out of the show. I can't even say it. We get a lot of stuff that the writers try to put in, and then it gets to the network later on. The network's like, no, we can't put that in the show. Yeah, there's one thing where Finn, and the episode is now he's like, oh, I'm dropping the Finn bomb, and he like drops down. But originally it was, I'm dropping the F bomb.
Yeah. That show constantly pushes it. The legal department there, I think, has pulls their hair out. All right, you guys, we gotta go, but thank you guys.